we can guess a little bit, you know, but it's much more mystical when we have mist. I like it personally, so that's it. So I start with a bit of history here, quickly, just to see how things work. I can tell you that. So 100 years ago, you have to picture here, there was no lake, so the glacier was standing next to the bridge where you arrived. So it's a very young place, actually. Very, very young place. So no lake at that time, and then it was the end of what we call the Little Ice Age. So the temperature started to rise, and the glacier retreated like all the way to that direction. It's still retreating by about 100 to 300 meters every year, to give you an idea. So it's quite a lot actually, but in general, the Vatnajökull, so it's the biggest glacier in Europe, it doesn't lose that much as a size. It's much more the thickness. It's getting very, very thin. That's how a glacier melts actually, not inside, the thickness. And in about 150 years, the whole glacier should disappear. The global warming speeds up the process for sure, but maybe we will have another ice age since then. I don't know, hopefully. Yeah, I'm hoping for cold weather again, because it would save the glacier. But we'll see, never knows. So that's it. So we have a lagoon here right now. It's a pretty unique in the world, I think, for several reasons. But the main reason, they explain why here and not everywhere, because there are a lot of places, a lot of outlets of the Vatnajökull in Iceland. But only here we have a lagoon, because that place is connected to the ocean. So by the bridge, you see it's connected, and during high tide, the ocean gets in. So you have both streams getting in and getting out. And the water is salty here. There's about 1/3 of salt water. So that explains it, because the ocean is warmer, so it makes the icebergs melt a lot faster, and the salt lowers down the melting point of the ice. So even at -5, even a bit lower actually, it's still melting here. It has to be colder to freeze. That's why they put salt on the road when it's going to freeze sometimes, to prevent the freezing. So that's the reason. Another specific thing here that happens, you have a river underneath the glacier. At the lake. So when you go next to the glacier, you can see the powerful stream of water coming. It's quite impressive. So that explains it. And right now the glacier is floating on the edge, so it breaks more. It's calving on its own weight. That's why we have so many icebergs here. Actually, we don't realize how much we have, how many icebergs we have today. Most of them are packed a bit there. It depends. There are a lot of spread away, but some days when are much more at the entrance, you realize that it can change from one day to another. It can be a complete different experience to go here actually into the lagoon. Right now the glacier is 7 kilometers away, so we don't see it that much, you can guess. It's very far. We couldn't go there with that boat. It would take 2 hours and a half approximately, with no icebergs on the way actually. And the lake is 270 meters deep. At the lakes. It's a very deep lake also, something to notice. So all the icebergs break there, they drift away. It takes 6 years for the biggest one to melt completely, sometimes less actually. You have to know, you can see only 10% of each iceberg. So maybe you had 10 on the top and 90% underneath the water. So we don't see much of them actually. And they don't melt at the same speed on the top, underneath. Depends on the weather. When it's very sunny, they're gonna melt a lot faster on the 10% part. It depends on the stream, on the wind. So they flip quite often because they're not stable, and they have to stabilize again. The gravity point changes after a while, and they flip. They often flip slightly or up to 90 degrees. They rarely flip completely, but it could happen. And that's why we have different colors actually. That's why we have a blue and a white color, because when an iceberg just flips, what was underneath the water is on the top again, and that part is a very crystal clear ice, very compact with no air inside. It's only compressed water. It's actually like the one I have in my hand, you see? You can see through it. I can see through it. I don't recognize your faces through it, but we can see through it. I said it's going to be blue, and that's also why the ocean is blue, because it's only water, and the water cannot absorb the blue color of the daylight. The blue color is reflected, and that's the reason. This one is just too small to look blue, like a glass of water is too small to look blue, so it's transparent. That's the reason. So they just flip. They're very blue. That's normal. But after a few days, and no more than 2 or 3 days, they are melting at the surface, and the air gets in. A lot of air gets in, and you have a lot of the air finds a way easily into through the ice. Actually, you could hear it cracking. Kind of pressure is kind of released. It expands, and then it's completely white again because it's ice not compact anymore, with a lot of air inside, a lot of bubbles, a lot of air. And you can see the difference when you go next to a white one and this one, for example. It's not the same texture. It's like you can break it easily. So that's why we have mostly white icebergs, because the blue colors does not remain a long time. So we have some quite a blue one. We have, for example, over there, you see the one very next to the shore, for example. You can see there is like a very thin white layer on the top behind, because it flipped like this, you know. So you still have like the line between the blue and the white part is the previous water level. That's all. And I probably flip today because it's still very blue. But you come tomorrow morning, it won't be as blue. And you come in 3 days, it will be completely white until it flips again. So then we have the black color. It's mostly black sand coming from the glacier. So because the glacier is not one thick layer of ice, it's multiple layers when it's growing, and it's moving all the time. It acts like a bulldozer. It grabs a lot of ground. That's why we have a lot of black actually on the iceberg. So they're not dirty. It's just black sand. So that's it. So do you have any question about what I said, or question of the lagoon? Something I forgot, maybe? It's okay? It's clear like the ice. Great. Perfect. So talking about the ice, right now to conclude, I'm going to break a small part of that iceberg into pieces.